This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by CRAN. CRAN is the Custom Residential Architects Network, and by Porcelanosa. Porcelanosa is a luxury lifestyle brand that brings modern European design into your home. You are listening to the Design Your Dream Home podcast with Doug and Steve. Doug and Steve are architects, and they're here to help you design your dream home.
Our guest today is Lindsay Cullum-Colwell, AIA. She's an architect, managing principal and one of the second-generation owners at the Scottsdale, Arizona-based Cullum Homes. Lindsay is also serving as this year's Symposium chair and executive board member for the AIA's Custom Residential Architects Network. That is an event that's taking place this year in Scottsdale. So I suppose that's why she is the Symposium chair. She'll be hosting, or at least the host city. For the past almost 35 years, Cullum Homes has been known for offering a comprehensive experience for their clients that extends from site selection through architectural design, construction, interior design services, and ongoing customer service. So that's kind of unique because they do it all. This past year, Cullum Homes was named the Custom Home Builder of the Year by the National Association of Home Builders. So congratulations and welcome to our program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so we just talked briefly before we got on here about design build and what that is. So maybe you can give us a little bit of background about your company and then maybe go into, why it is what you do is unique, I think, to some of our listeners.
Certainly. So Cullum Homes was founded on the dining room table in my family home by my parents. The year I was born, they decided to quit their jobs, have a baby, and start their own business all in the same year. They were very brave. And so I've had the opportunity to watch the company grow from 2 people on a dining room table to hiring our first employee, who is still a site superintendent with us today, to now being a company of about 60 people. It's been a great journey, surviving the 2008, and on years, and it's just been really fun to watch it grow and be a part of that growth. So as a design build company, our theory is by bringing all of the pieces in-house under the same roof, there's one responsible party for the client. So you don't have the architect on one side, the builder on one side, the owner's representative on the other side, this stool that the client is sitting on top of and trying to balance. You can get a great team put together in that way, but you really have to hire all the right people to do it. And we feel that as a one-stop shop, if you will, we can provide that fully comprehensive experience through all aspects of the project. And I think that's part of why we were the Home Builder of the Year this past year.
Wow.
We talked briefly about your background because you're an architect, but I asked you where you went to school, and then you told me you went to a school that does not offer architecture. So how did you get from not studying architecture to becoming an architect of a firm of 60 people?
Sure. I grew up walking job sites, climbing through framing, trying to start bobcats with a bobby pin, all the things you do as a home builder's daughter. So I was so close to the industry, I saw it as a hobby. I designed backyards and help with the home designs. And I was driven to be a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. That was my dream. I don't know why it was so specific, but it was. And I applied to schools with strong medical programs, got into Vanderbilt in Nashville, went out there, spent about 4 months at Vanderbilt, and realized I love design. I miss design. That's what I really want to do with my life. Having fallen in love with the campus and made friends out there, I stuck with it. I did an economics degree undergrad.
Okay.
Wow.
Also, maybe odd for an architect. And then I participated in one of the 3+ programs that are a lot of schools across the country, which let you study architecture without having an undergraduate degree in architecture. So you do, instead of the 2 years of architectural grad school, you do an extra year and a half, so 3.5 years where you kind of catch up.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really fun program because all of the students in that program came from something else.
Yeah.
So they didn't spend 4 years in undergrad fighting and scratching their way to make it to the next level and competing against one another. They all came from a different background. Everybody, like somebody came from banking. We had somebody that had been an artist for 35 years. Like that was the thread. And we all got in and then we were in. Like there was no competing with one another. So it was a very collaborative environment for an architectural program, which seemed normal to me, but I have heard from other architects that is not normally the case.
So where did you do your master's degree?
I did my master's at Arizona State.
Oh, at Arizona State. Okay.
Yep. So I grew up in Arizona, went away to undergrad, then came back for graduate school.
So do you guys employ a number of architects now, or is it just you?
I am we have 2 licensed architects on staff. My stamp is the only one that we use.
Okay.
And then we've got 3 other project designers that are all in some way pursuing licensure. And then 2 draftsmen, a team of 2 interior designers, and a design coordinator, construction administration staff, field staff. It's a pretty diverse group.
And do you do all the project management for the firm?
I don't. I oversee the design arm of the company, if you will. So everything from the first client contact and sales through permit is my team. And then from permit through ongoing customer care, that's our construction team.
And how many clients are you typically working with at the same time?
We have 18 projects in the ground right now. And then another, let's see, I think we're at 14 somewhere in design.
Gosh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And these are all client. Are there clients with these projects, or do you also do houses on speculation?
We do houses on speculation.
Okay.
Just less than half of those are speculative work.
Okay.
In our market, we're seeing the desire to have a home more immediately, not the ability of people to move around from place to place with how everything is digitized now and online. We see that people are just more mobile and they don't necessarily have the time or the desire to do the 2 to 3 year design,
right.
And then the build after that.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years down the line, their life is totally different because
Right.
they've sold their startup or, their kids are graduated high school and they're just in a different place in life. So we definitely have clients that want to do that process, that are grounded here. They really have roots here and they want to stay here, or this is a second home and they've fallen in love with Scottsdale because they golf or whatever it is. And they want that sense of permanence here and they're willing to do the process. And then we have clients that the spec homes are a great option for them. They can come in, they make some of the final finish selections. They're maybe not ready to take on all the decisions that it takes to do a fully custom project. And they kind of get their feet wet in doing just a few of the things. And we've had many that come back and build with us again.
Wow.
So
You've done a good job on maybe I should have explained, or I'll let you explain the difference between a home built on speculation versus let's say a more conventional client to architect relationship.
certainly. So in our traditional relationship with a client, we control a lot of lots and lots of land in the valley. So typically someone will see one of our signs at a lot. They want to purchase the lot. They come meet with our team, or maybe they have their own lot that they've purchased and they are looking for what we offer, this comprehensive solution, where they've talked to an architect and they've talked to a builder and they're just trying to sense what all of the all the ways they could make their project happen. And so we kind of get interviewed in that sense.
Okay.
When we build work on speculation, we'll come in with either our own money to finance the spec. We'll partner with a bank to provide the financing. We have former clients who we've built multiple homes for who will also invest in our specs.
Okay.
So one of those financing avenues, then my parents, part of their role in the company now, is acting as the client on all of the spec homes.
I see.
Oh, wow.
So they will, It's a great opportunity for our team, training opportunity. We can try new things. They get to practice presenting to a client and then getting feedback. It's like continual desk crits from grad school for any architects listening. But it's a way for them to stay connected and pass on their knowledge of the industry, and a way for our team to learn from them. And then we have these homes that are for sale, and we'll strategically, sometimes we put them on the market while they're in design. Sometimes we will wait to put them on the market until we are farther along in the process, so there can be fewer changes. It just depends on the strategy of the neighborhood and that particular project.
Are most of the homes in Scottsdale, or they go beyond?
We build mainly in the Scottsdale area. Paradise Valley, which is a town kind of surrounded by Scottsdale, is one of our main areas, and the golf communities of Silverleaf, Desert Mountain. We have a project called the Village at Mountain Shadows. It's 40 lots there. We're the exclusive architect on. Same with, or the exclusive builder, pardon me. Silverleaf's the same. We have a community in Desert Mountain like that as well. So we're sort of all over our valley.
Got it.
What would happen if somebody saw one of your projects, Lindsay, they really liked the design, and they lived in like Maine, and they say, "Hey, Lindsay, I love that house that you designed. I'd love you to do something for me. I just like your design style or your design approach." Would you accept that kind of assignment? Is it too far from your core kind of working method? I mean, and meaning in that case, probably you wouldn't build it. They would just say, "We want you just to design the project for us."
Yeah, we might consider doing design on consultation, though it's outside of our normal flow of work. So it would need to be the right project.
Okay.
And we have done a home in Utah where we partnered with another design home builder friend there who had not done work on spec before. So we did that process with them, and kind of we learned a little bit about how their process worked. They learned about how our process worked. We don't compete against each other because they're in Utah and we're in Arizona. And it improved both of our businesses that way. But outside of that, we haven't expanded beyond Arizona.
So you guys end up working with so many different clients. Amazingly, at the same time, I was wondering, are there any common threads in terms of what people are looking for? Like, they're always asked for the same thing, or you guys always end up designing certain things in homes that you're designing people's homes, or things that you're incorporating into the spec homes? I know that's a really big question, but as I'm sitting here thinking about all the people that you get to work with, I mean, a guy like me gets to work with a few clients in 10 years. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the diversity, even when, the trend of the moment is in one place, still how all over the map our clients are.
Really?
We have, first of all, we have awesome clients. We get to work with great people in the niche of high-end custom residential. It is rare air, and I am just so grateful that we get to breathe it.
Yeah.
We get to do some really amazing projects. But right now, under construction, we have a home that is on the hillside, modern, and the clients want the home to be black and white. All the finishes are black and white. I mean, some stunning slabs going in there, beautiful flooring, but that is the palette. Yeah. And just, biking distance down the hill, we're doing a home that they want it to look like the home has been here 100 years, that generations of the family have lived there. There's warm wood beams, there's colored cabinets. I mean, they could not be farther apart in style. And then everything in between. So it's all over the map. And part of the process is going on this journey with the clients. I don't want our firm to be known for only doing a specific style of work. We are known for our client experience, our design build process, and what that brings to the table. And the clients are going on this journey. We're going on this journey with the clients, I should say. They want to build their dream home, their family home, their second home, whatever it may be. And we are guiding them in that process. This isn't it. I don't think this is my home that they get to live in. Mm-hmm. This is their home that my team gets to help them accomplish. So that mindset shift, that's how we think as a company. And I think that allows us to, provide a great product and a great experience to go along with it.
How do you avoid the, architects have stylistic preoccupations, and I don't know what yours might be, but let's say you're a hardcore whatever, and someone is so divergent, and yet, I know your company model is a certain way, but do you say, hey, Tom, maybe this one's going to be better fit for you. This is not exactly my style. How do you manage that kind of issue? Or do you have that issue?
We don't necessarily have that issue. I try to match it more based on client personality. So while I'm overseeing the design, architecture and interior design team, there are 4 architectural designers that a client could get assigned to. Mm-hmm. And as we have a new client come in, we'll look at, what area of town are they going into? Someone may be the expert in hillside design, so they would probably be a better fit. We look at, the workflow of our staff. We look at the personality of the client and see who may be the best person to pair them with. Because I would work with that person and kind of guiding the design and supporting them, but that's really the client's main point of contact. Mm-hmm. Through the permit phase, through the design phase, which can be a very, emotional, trying thing. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure we get the personalities right, and the style, it happens beyond that connection. So we try to be style blind, if you will. Is that still a thing?
This is probably a question more interesting to architects, but you talked about how you guys end up getting lots of really, really good clients. You love your clients. And, one of the fears of many architects, particularly because we typically don't work on that many projects, we don't have lots of staff, is we're going to get a client that we don't really get along with, or that ends up becoming a real problem. And it sounds like you really enjoy the people you work with. How does that dynamic happen? I'm wondering for our listeners how to know where to go, who to hire. How does that happen? How do you find the right fit?
The right fit from a homeowner perspective?
Yeah, on both sides. So in terms of how you find your clients, how your clients find you, and why do you think it is that you end up getting lots of good clients?
As long as we've been in the Valley and doing what we're doing, I think our reputation assists with that. So I can't really take credit for a lot of that. That is my parents and their involvement in the community and their participation in charitable groups where they go to these events and meet people that end up becoming our clients, and then their friends become our clients because they have a good experience. So building your brand, so that as an architect, building your brand so you can work off of referrals. There's still a place for marketing and advertising because you need to get your message and who you are as a company out there. But having the opportunity to start building that referral business, that takes time, but it's what provided us the chance of having great clients, because we may have in one of our community projects, which we haven't really talked about yet, we may have somebody move in, they have a great experience, and they tell their friend who also wants to have a second home in Scottsdale, hey, you should design and build your home with Cullum Homes because I had such a great experience and I want you to have that experience too.
We talk a lot on the show about the fact that architecture is really a word of mouth business, and that's what I was getting at. So I wanted to see whether or not that is the case with yours as well.
Yep.
This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by CRAN. CRAN is the Custom Residential Architects Network. CRAN is the leading resource and voice for architects who focus on collaborative design with homeowners. CRAN provides support, advocacy, and education for custom residential projects, as well as professional development for its members via forums, symposia, publications, and local activities. To learn more about CRAN, visit www.aia.org/CRAN. This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by Porcelanosa. With 30 showrooms in the United States and Canada, Porcelanosa is a luxury lifestyle brand that'll make your next project's dream into a reality. From a wide selection of tiles and mosaics to modern bathroom and kitchen cabinetry designs, Porcelanosa makes it easy to bring modern European design elements into your home. Visit porcelanosa-usa.com to learn more.
So I just kind of want to circle back to these 3 points that we ask all of our guests to kind of hit. And I would say that number 2, this focus on client experience, I think we've been sort of talking about that. So I think that's great. We'll check that box. But I was really interested in number 1, which had to do with the tools in your workflow. And maybe you could talk a little bit about let's say the newer tools that you use to sort of have a good experience and I guess be more efficient and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a secret. I am an architect who loves spreadsheets and process.
Okay, we studied economics, so.
Which makes me kind of weird in the architecture circle, I guess. Yes. But we have, as a company, really strived to stay at the forefront of technology. Like we were one of, over 20 years ago now, we won a award for computer-aided design technology. CAD. We did a rendering of a home. Maybe I can find a picture of it. I mean, the thing took 20 hours to run, and it looks now just like any old picture on your iPhone would look. It's so dated and we're so proud of it. But we've always been staying ahead on the design technology. We have a very dynamic design team in that they are willing to adapt how they draw so that our process is always staying up to date. So now we are users of Archicad. I could talk to you all day about why I love Archicad and why it's the best.
I'm on Archicad too, by the way.
Yes. It's a wonderful tool and we push it to the edge. We're always updating our template. We actually have someone on staff who is our BIM consultant manager who's always looking at our process and how we're operating in the BIM environment, training our team on how to draw. We've challenged ourselves as a design team to not only model all of the structural and architectural components of the home, but also the interior elevation. So our interior design team works in Archicad. So the goal of having a digital representation of the home before we're building is the goal. So Archicad has a component within it called BIMX, which is basically like a smartphone or tablet viewer of the project. And our goal is to have our superintendents out there with their iPads, and they can cut a section anywhere in the house. They can pull up all the interior elevations. They could literally see the brain dump, if you will, of the design staff into their hand so they know exactly what we were envisioning when we designed the home. And that kind of leads into our connection as a design build firm and how having those site superintendents on our staff, our design team knows which superintendent is going to be overseeing the project. They can start collaborating early in the design phase. It just leads to a lot of relieved stress because we can solve problems in a virtual environment rather than standing on a job site during framing and trying to figure out how we're going to get a mechanical duct through a steel beam. We've all been there. Yes. And just trying to remove that conflict.
Well, maybe you can elaborate on what you said, because you said BIM environment. So again, a homeowner maybe doesn't know what that means. So what does that mean?
So BIM stands for Building Information Modeling. And you'll hear proponents of BIM talk about the I in BIM, the information component. So how it's different than CAD. CAD, if I want to draw a wall, for example, I'm going to draw 4 lines in the shape of the wall, and basically I have a rectangle that represents the wall, and it's a 2-dimensional object that's 4 lines, and that's what it is. Mm-hmm. When you draw in BIM, you're drawing the wall. So I am drawing a single line on the computer, but that knows it has all the chunks of the wall and all the information in it. So it knows it's a 2x6 wall with gypboard on the inside, and it's got, foam and stucco on the outside, and this is the bearing point. And it's drawing that in 2D, in 3D, in section, in elevation. So you're really building the home in 3D before you're building it in real life. And we have pushed Archicad to the point where it is almost, besides doing the structural calculations, it is pretty much drawing all the construction document sheets in the background as we're modeling the home. Took us a while to get there. Mm-hmm. It is not easy to do, but by really making the BIM software, the Archicad software, work for us, it's helped our workflow immensely as a team.
Do you guys allow the program then to do estimating as well? Do you use that for estimating?
We don't. We'll do takeoffs within Archicad,
sure,
but we don't use that for estimating.
Okay, yeah, it's a really powerful program for people who don't really understand it. It takes more time up front putting in all this information in the beginning. However, you get a lot more on the back end. Yes. So that's really cool. So are you drawing in BIM as well? Or are you?
Yep, I draw not as much as I used to.
Yep. I would imagine doing a lot of design work, you probably aren't doing as much drawing as everybody else, but that's pretty cool.
No, I could tell you draw, because when you were explaining that, I mean, this is a podcast, but you were sort of with your hands, and you're kind of you could sort of see yourself drawing it to sort of explain it. But it's interesting. So that's awesome. I think that's a great second point. The third, you talked about the art of designing. I love art of designing together, but talking about a fixed price contract. So what does that mean? That's a big one for homeowners to sort of think about.
So we sell homes. 90+% of our homes are on a fixed price contract, which means you come in to our office and you either have a piece of land on your own, or you're wanting to buy a piece of land from us. We will provide a specification sheet that outlines, these are the appliances we're putting in, this is the type of mechanical system, this is how we're going to frame the house. I mean, everything you could think of. We'll do a basic programming diagram, which is just like a series of boxes that are on a page. And then kind of laying out the adjacencies of rooms. We'll get the square footage figured out, and we'll say, okay, in this community, we're running $400 a square foot. We've, designed a 5,000 square foot house. This is how much your land costs. This is how much your house is going to be. And that's the starting point. They sign that contract, and we begin the real design process. So the client knows the dollar amount up front. My architecture team knows the dollar amount up front and all the things that are supposed to go in the home. So if we start changing things, they decide they want to go from 1 refrigerator to 2 refrigerators, that's a conversation. So the way the design team is trained to talk to the client involves talking about the budget.
Right.
And because we are a build side company as well, we have all of the resources of that in-house. We know our material costs. We know we have relationships with the volume that we have. We have relationships with trades. We have relationships with supply houses for, appliances, for example, tile, exterior veneers. So I can control my costs by managing those relationships, which helps the clients in turn to be able to know throughout the process what their home is going to cost. So we have the contract point. We'll do a check-in after the floor plan stops moving. Once we really figure out how big the house is going to be, we do a budget check-in. Okay. Then we get into the exterior details, really into the fine details of what the home's going to look like. And we check in with them again before we start construction documents. So when we start construction documents, they know this is the price of their home. Then they start picking, marble tile that we have to fly in from Italy and 4x4, it's slabs. Then the price goes up from there, but we have a baseline for them to start at.
So let me give you some excuses that I hear and tell me how you'd respond to these, okay?
Okay.
So we said, okay, this is the guaranteed price. The builder says, but you know that now we have a new president and the policy has changed here. Material costs are going up on that side. I couldn't find any laborers on this side, so there's a cost increase over here. We had rain for 6 weeks, so there's going to be an increase over here. So how do you respond to those sorts of things? I mean, they may be excuses or there might be legitimate reasons for why something can't be guaranteed, but do you ever say these kinds of things, or do you say no? I mean, this is the price that we promised and that's what it's going to be.
So in our contract, we have language that says the price is good as long as we start construction in 9 months.
Okay.
So that's kind of our protector on increases that way. And we have contingencies padded in, of course. Mm-hmm. There are, on material costs, it's based on, with tile, for example, we have a partnership with a tile house here, and they have provided us what we call a curated collection of tile. And that is what is included in the price. And that is displayed in the showroom at our office. And there are quite a few tiles to choose from. Right. If they want to go outside of that, then we're starting to look at the price differential between what that material would have cost and what the new material costs. But it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for them. If you stay within this zone, then we're not going to have to deal with the budget question. If you want to go beyond that, then we start dealing with that question. But we then are working with the tile supplier, the appliance supplier, each of the vendors that we have and trade partners that we have on the buyout side to control those costs. So there may be some times where it's a disadvantage to us and we take a hit, but on another category, our team may have had a really great buyout and we make money in that category. So it's all back and forth on the economic side.
So that's a great answer. So meaning like sometimes it doesn't quite work out, but it's better to have that to be able to honor your guarantee and the long run. That's part of the good experience, and they honored their kind of guarantee, and maybe it's not perfect this time in the appliances, but it'll all sort of work out, right? So that makes sense.
Yep.
So during the design phase, how do you keep track of the changes that are made that are going to cost the client something? That is, you're talking about 2 refrigerators, for example. So the client starts, they've got the design, they know what it's going to cost, the design phase starts, or schematic, you're into schematic design or design development, and we're going to change the 2 fridges and change the kitchen around. So you then present the changes and how much it's going to cost, and it's written down in meeting minutes so that you can all go back to that at some point? Or is this more of a nebulous process that they get updates every couple months?
I'm so glad you asked. That is a program we use called CoConstruct, which is CoConstruct is like an online construction management software.
I've never heard of this. Yeah.
It is an awesome tool. Okay. We met Donnie, the owner of CoConstruct, at the Builder Show. Like the first year he was there, maybe the second year he was there, he was on a small side table, in the back because couldn't afford a big booth. And my brother, who oversees the construction arm of the company now, saw him over there and got to chatting with him. And he had been a customer. He had built a home and had a bad experience. and said, there has to be a better way, and started Co-Construct. So it is our schedule coordination, it's to-dos for the team, it's communication with the client. I mean, we can share photos. There's a section for each selection item. The client can see when different decisions need to be made. The tile needs to be selected before this phase ends, but we need to know where your floor outlets are really early in the process because we have to put them in the slab. Right. So it kind of gives them a guide of when they need to be making decisions. It links to QuickBooks. Here I go again, a little infomercial for Co-Construct. But it's been a great tool for us. It has grown as we have grown. We work with what they call their builder in residence, who's a gentleman that used to be a COO for a building company and has been brought on board to consult companies that use Co-Construct to help them improve their processes. So they've just been a really great strategic partner in terms of streamlining our client workflow through the process.
So, I mean, that all sounds great. But again, just like this BIM thing, there's lots of work involved, right? Lots of back end work. And you're done with a meeting, you got to input all this information. So somebody is spending the time and money putting that all together, which is you guys. This is something that the people that are listening need to think about, right? There are so many things going on. And so having programs like Co-Construct are probably very, very advantageous for the owner and for the architect and for the builder and for everybody because everything's being organized.
Yeah. To anyone out there that is looking to build a home, as you're interviewing companies, I would say find out what their systems are. Ask the people that are in the meeting with you how they track your change orders, what they're using to design their home. Not because you're testing them or anything. Well, you kind of are, but you want the people that are selling you the product to be able to speak to the experience, to speak to the process, to speak to the systems. Lots of architects and builders create beautiful imagery. We're an imagery culture right now with Instagram and Facebook and all this. The pretty picture is just one piece of it, but the experience of how you get to that is, that's what you're dealing with as the homeowner, and you want to go into your new home when it's done and just love it and not sit there and be like, oh, this home took forever and it cost twice as much as I wanted it to, and I can't, it just makes me, you don't want that weight as you walk into your home.
Yep.
So, Doug, those things that she's talking about, that sounds like me. First of all, that interview, I would be in big trouble if they started asking me about what spreadsheets and things that I use. I would just, but look at the pretty picture. Is the picture nice? And they say, well, how do we get there? I say, oh, it's all very complicated. It's advanced. I don't want
to. That's so great. Wow. Well, this all sounds wonderful. It sounds like a really interesting business, and you're certainly a great addition to a business like this. I mean, having the skill set and interests that you do, I mean, not complete opposite, but so many architects you meet it's about aesthetics. It's not about paperwork or numbers or spreadsheets. I mean, these are things that most architects are not very good at. So to have those skill sets and to be a designer, that's great. Very cool.
Thanks.
Well, there's something for the economics sort of base and then going to architecture school, as opposed to you and I that did 5 years of archiearchitecture and that did 2 more years of architecture, and now we have like unsuccessful practices and now we complain about it.
People are listening to us on their car radio.
That's so funny. No, you gotta, if you want to be a successful architect, you have to have a business.
Yep.
That's my beef about architecture schools, that they don't teach enough about business. But that's for another podcast, maybe.
It sure is.
So, Lindsay, we've got you for about 45 minutes, and we don't want to take you too long because you're actually very busy. I can tell. So, any last thoughts before before we close? Because you had some great comments about your philosophy, or is there any kind of closing thoughts about what you want to leave our users with, or any thoughts about Cullum Homes?
Yeah, well, if you live in Scottsdale and you're looking to build a home,
okay,
so come talk to us. We'll leave with that. But as I put in my philosophy to you, I think home can just be bedrooms and bathrooms and living spaces and a kitchen put together. But that's a house. What makes it a home is that it's customized and designed for the client's way of life. And in order to get to that, you want to work with a team that is hearing you, that's listening to what your needs are. Because at the end of the day, you're the client, you're the person that's going to live in the home. You're the one that's paying for it. I mean, all the things. It's your project. And so as you're out there, shopping for an architect or shopping for a design build firm or shopping for a builder or whatever it is, talk to the team about those things and your vision, and don't ever feel like you can't tell your architect or your builder what you want, or tell them that you don't like something that they've designed because you're going to hurt their feelings. That's what we're here for. We're here to deliver this handcrafted product. These homes are put together by craftsmen and people that love what they do, that everybody from the framer to the guy doing the plumbing to the person laying the tile. I mean, they are craftsmen, and it's highly personalized and highly handcrafted, and just it's a great gig. It's really fun to do, and I hope that every client out there, potential client out there, has the opportunity to enjoy building a home and enjoy going through the process, and then maybe want to do it again. That's always it's always nice when you have clients that come back because they had such a good experience the first go around.
Right. Any links for us or websites?
Yeah, sure. You can follow us on Instagram, which is at Cullum Homes. You can go to our website. Instagram is Cullum_Homes. You can go to our website, which is www.cullumhomes.com. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're trying to be everywhere. But
Cullum is Cullum.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thanks, Lindsay. That was great.
Thanks.
See you guys. You've been listening to the Design Your Dream Home podcast with Doug and Steve. If you have any questions or want to give us any feedback on the show, feel free to reach us through our website at thedougandsteveshow.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.